Welcome to Family Business World. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, and we have another guest. I haven't met him before. Zach, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great. You know, we love family businesses, and family businesses are, I was saying earlier, just such an important part of society. So you're with Progressive Payment Solutions, and so quickly for the audience, what do they do? What do you do?
Yeah. So what we do is merchant services and credit card processing.
Okay.
So any business looking to accept credit cards, or any business already accepting credit cards that wants to cut down on their costs, that's what we do.
Oh, really? So you work with small businesses?
We do. We work with a lot of small businesses.
Really? Interesting. Yep. Interesting. And so before we get more into the business, I always want to know the personal story. And so
Sure.
where'd you grow up, and how old is the family business? How long has it been around?
Sure. So the business started in 2004 by my father, Jonathan Kramer.
Okay.
And we were founded in Short Hills, New Jersey,
Okay.
which is also where I'm from.
Okay,
So
okay.
not too far off.
So the home wasn't far from the office.
Exactly.
So that
Less than a mile, actually.
Less than a really.
Less than a mile.
So I'm sure Dad and was your mom involved in the business?
She was very involved, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So as the story goes, when my father was looking for a new job,
right.
His background is actually in fashion design. He
really?
Designed,
wow. That's interesting.
he designed shoes for Kenneth Cole.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't like that anymore, and he wanted to move on. So he somehow stumbled across the credit card processing business.
Interesting.
And as the story goes, is he came home after a couple interviews, and he said to my mom, you know what, this really isn't for me. It's a very used car like industry.
Right.
And my mom said, you're the complete opposite of that, which is why you're going to be good at it.
Yeah.
And so from then on, that's how it started.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
And so that's an interesting story too. I mean, to design shoes is pretty cool. Does he still dabble in any kind of design or anything?
No,
Has he given that kind of stuff up completely?
Yeah, he gave that up long ago. He likes to draw sometimes,
but
he gave that up a while
Really?
ago.
Interesting. Yeah. And that's what I love about the show, is that people are doing businesses totally different than what they did or what they grew up doing and other things. And so now you're personal. So you said, were you working in the business, early on when it first started, or did you wait till after you graduated?
No, so I actually studied finance.
Okay.
And I used to work for Morgan Stanley.
Oh, really?
And I decided it really wasn't for me. And so while I was looking for something else to do, my father said, hey, why don't you work for me for a little bit? You'll make a little extra cash while you're interviewing in other places.
Right.
And I really ended up liking it a lot, and it's still kind of in finance.
Right.
So I stayed. Here I am 5 years later.
So your background, as I said, we have people of all ages watching, and
Sure.
people kind of looking at careers and other things. And so you went to Short Hills High? Did you go to
Milburn High School?
Milburn High School, and then where'd you go after that?
I went to the University of Tampa in Florida.
Okay, you majored in finance, or?
I did. Yep.
Okay, and then you got a job on Wall Street?
So I actually wasn't on Wall Street.
Okay.
I was in their office in Morristown, New Jersey.
Okay, Morristown.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so kind of investment banking and stuff. And were you thinking of an MBA or anything beyond that before?
No, I never really thought I wanted to get my MBA.
Okay.
To be honest,
Okay.
I definitely recommend it to people, though.
Yeah. And so you did that, and so while you were making the transition, you started working. And what appealed to you about the family business? What was it that was really interesting?
When you're in finance, you're sitting behind a screen all day, and you're looking at spreadsheets.
Right.
I was actually the Morningstar analysis for mutual funds.
Okay.
So not the most exciting job.
Right.
And what I liked about the family business is I'm out selling. I'm not just stuck in one vertical. I'm doing marketing. I'm doing business development. I'm taking care of customers. So it's just a lot more involvement, and that's just what I like to do.
Right, interesting. And so now how many employees does the business have?
So currently we are 3 employees.
Okay.
It's my father, myself, and my twin brother, Garrett.
Oh, really?
So
oh, wow.
We truly are a family business.
And your mom helps out some?
She doesn't really help out, but she gives moral support.
Right, okay, good. All right, so it's a very, very close-knit family, and so... and so everybody processes. You don't think much about the the credit card processing.
Yeah.
You go there, you give your card to. I mean, I noticed because I do much of my stuff with American Express because they're easy. If there's any fraud, they're really good about getting rid of that. I think other companies have gotten better. American Express used to be far ahead of everybody in doing that. But I know they cost more.
Yep.
So a lot of places, and I was just down south, I was in Virginia, and there are a lot of places didn't use American Express. Up north they do. And so, so tell us about this business, this credit card processing business. Most people don't even know, that there are options. And so what is it that you do behind the scenes with businesses?
Absolutely. So our biggest thing is customer service and also education. This industry it's almost like when you get a phone bill, you don't really know what you're looking at.
Right.
So we demystify credit card processing for people. We have a blog and we also do YouTube videos.
Okay.
And we teach them not only how to read statements, but how to read their contract.
Interesting.
Because due to contrary belief, the larger companies are typically the ones taking advantage of their clients. They're locking them into long-term contracts. They're raising the rates on them when they least expect it, usually once to twice a year.
Wow.
And typically they're also making them lease equipment that they don't need in the first place. So we kind of demystify all that and we put people in the right place. Even if they can't work with us, we put them in the right direction because that's what's most important to us is educating our clients.
So again, we have a lot of small businesses that obviously will watch this show, and so if they're thinking about, looking at a credit card processor, what are some of the things that they look at to differentiate? What should they be looking at to make a decision?
So the first is pricing. There's three pricing models. Okay. There's interchange plus pricing, there's tiered pricing, and then there's flat rate pricing. You're going to want to make sure that you're on interchange plus pricing because that is the closest you can get to cost. Right. So that is the most aggressive.
So let me, and I always like to kind of make it simple. For me and the audience. So interchange pricing, what does that really mean? What is that?
Exactly. So what interchange is the cost of the credit card. So every credit card that's swiped has a different cost associated to it. Right. The example I like to give, especially since we're in New Jersey, is the New York Jets and the New York Giants both offer rewards cards to their season ticket holder. Okay. And each one of those cards has a different rate associated to it, and you don't know the rate until the card is swiped. So in our industry, we have interchange plus the cost of that card plus the margin on the account. So it's going to be basis points, typically between, depending on the size of the business, 25 to 75 points. Okay. So 50 points, for example, is 0.5% above cost. So that is how it works. And the reason you want to be on that pricing versus, for example, flat rate pricing is because debit cards and regular rewards cards are about 50% of all transactions. Right. And they actually don't cost that much to accept. So if you're on a flat rate of, let's say, 3%, you're going to be missing out on a lot of savings for debit cards, for example, which is about 1.5%. Right. So
interesting. So now again, from the average consumer, so if you use a debit card versus your bank debit card versus your bank Visa card, and there's no, I mean, the debit card is just cash. There's no cost to people having a debit card take money out of their account, is there? So to the consumer.
There's no cost to the consumer, but to the actual business owner, there is a cost.
Oh, there is a cost.
There is a cost. So the way credit card processing works is the business has to pay for accepting cards. They actually are the ones that pay for your rewards. So let's say you have an American Express Platinum card, and let's say you go to the local bagel shop. They are actually the ones covering those rewards for your trips to Hawaii or wherever you want to go. And that's why the business, they don't want to accept those high-cost cards like Amex and things like that. And that's why they prefer you pay with cash. Right.
Interesting. Good old cash, which is disappearing these days.
Absolutely.
All right, so you said the interchange pricing. Okay, then the next is this cost base.
Yeah, so there's tiered pricing and flat rate pricing.
Flat rate, flat rate. Okay. And so the tiered pricing, how does that work?
So tiered pricing is somewhat similar to interchange plus, but you have 3 buckets. And basically it's qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified. And essentially, every card goes into one of the 3 buckets.
Okay.
The reason why that pricing doesn't work too well anymore is, again, there's so many different rewards cards out there.
Okay.
And sometimes cards can get downgraded into a more expensive bucket, as we say.
Right.
So really, the best way to get close to cost is going to be interchange plus pricing. And that's why it's very important to check your contract and make sure that's what your business is signing up for.
Well, you hear that out there if you have your own business. So interchange, check your statement and check what you're being charged. I mean, that could save you literally thousands of dollars, right?
A lot.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that we're doing now, actually, and I'm sure you've seen it across the board, is you can now legally pass the credit card fee to the client. So you walk into a bagel store, you're paying $10 for your bagel, they're adding a service charge to that
for your card.
For your credit card. And by doing that, businesses have been able to save thousands of dollars a month.
Right.
So that's our biggest thing right now.
Now, that wasn't legal before? You said that you couldn't do that before?
Yeah, it's relatively new.
Really?
So there was a law that passed around 2016, 2017, and it indirectly affected our industry. And this really came into effect around 2018, 2019, right before COVID.
Right.
And since COVID and inflation, prices skyrocketing, businesses are hopping on this left and right. So it's been it's disrupted our entire industry.
Interesting. And so, and the consumers have done that willingly? I mean, do you have any data on whether consumers really don't want to go to stores that do that, or what do you hear?
We do have some data. It's a little bit, we're waiting for the new data to come in, but essentially 90% of the customers are going to go through with the transaction using their credit card.
Right.
Of the 10% that don't, it's about 80% of that percentage is going to pay with cash. Only 20% are going to walk out and go somewhere else.
Right.
And at that point, is the savings worth losing 1 or 2 customers?
Right.
And typically the answer is yes, it is.
Right.
So
interesting. Well, that's fascinating. So in the credit card market, I mean, there are all sorts of competitive cards. So you get to see it from the other side. I mean, are there? We don't have to endorse or say better, but there are differences. I mean, some cards are better than others from a consumer standpoint,
absolutely,
and from a business standpoint as well. Is there a marketplace for a new card, a new kind of card, to come up? It seems like, and again, we're in the innovation business, family business. I do a show called Entrepreneur State of Mind. I look at that and said, is there a better opportunity to have a better credit card that's better for consumers, better for small businesses, not as good for the big processors? Is there such a thing, or is that
There's a lot of things being worked on.
Right.
It's a very innovative industry, especially now with cryptocurrency. Businesses want to accept that. And there are different gateways, and now there's a few credit cards that actually allow you to transfer cryptocurrencies
into the. Well, we're going to take that's a very 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 interesting topic that we'll get to. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back and really talk about innovation within the credit card business, and then want to hear more about your family business.
Awesome.
So we'll be right back after the commercial break.
We're Dr. Mark and Liz from Marriage Matters, a show that inspires, instills hope, and empowers couples to weather the stresses of married life.
Join us each week to hear how couples, real couples like you, have overcome challenges that were hurting their marriages, as well as getting expert advice on ways to nurture a happy and healthy relationship.
Tune in Fridays at 4:30 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 a.m. on RVN TV.
Welcome back to Family Business World. We're having really a fascinating conversation about credit cards, something we use every day, but we know very little about. So, Zach, we're continuing first, before the break, we were talking about cryptocurrency, and so some cards are now accepting cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so it's not the card itself, it's the actual gateway.
Okay.
So some of these credit cards are connecting to your crypto wallets.
Right,
And
okay.
they're allowing the business to transfer crypto into their account. So
okay.
you're able to now pay with crypto, which
Right.
is it's huge.
Right.
And that's definitely going to disrupt our industry as well.
Interesting. So you were talking. We were talking. I was saying, and I've mentioned here, them creating these entrepreneur zones around, hopefully around the world, but certainly around the country, where we have clusters of businesses, many of them family businesses, and providing free consulting through small business development centers and other things. But there's an opportunity to maybe even have a E-Zone credit card or a new card that does stuff. And so you were saying something very interesting, that actually the banks benefit from the cards as well. How do the banks benefit from the cards?
Yeah, so let's say that you walk into a bank and you order a new Chase Sapphire card, a very popular card today. The branch that you order that card from, they actually profit on those credit card transactions.
Oh, really?
Every time the card is swiped, you have 3 parties that benefit from the transaction.
Right.
And actually, the least amount of profit goes to the processor due to contrary belief.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
So it's going to go to the card carrier. So you're going to have Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Amex, all those guys.
Right.
They're making the bulk of the transaction. Then you have the issuing bank. They get a piece of the transaction.
Interesting.
And then whatever's left goes to the processor.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And
But the processor facilitates the entire transaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so the margins are fairly slim for processors?
They're fairly slim. They're
really?
actually very slim. So typically now, it's almost a race to zero with processors because they keep undercutting each other. So on a typical account, we could be making anywhere between $10 to maybe a couple $100 for a large account.
Right.
But you need thousands of accounts to keep a business like that going.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Wow. And so how have you been successful as a family business and doing how do you guys, customer service is one of your competitive advantages. What's been your secret sauce in really being successful in a competitive industry?
Sure. So our secret sauce, obviously, as you said, is number one, it's customer service, and that's the most important thing. But second is just educating the clients, just educating them to make sure they're making a good decision. Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be somebody cheaper, but are they going to provide that level of service that you need to run your business? Because you're dealing with payments. This is the most important part of your business. If something goes wrong, you need that person to be there and you need them to help you ASAP.
Right.
So that is the most important part of our business, and that's what we do best. And how we've been successful is word of mouth and networking. We've never made a cold call. We don't do any paid marketing. We just started doing organic marketing with the blogs and YouTube videos. But for the last 18 years, it's been all about referrals and networking, and that's it.
And you work nationally? You're working nationally? Or
Yeah, so we are national, but the bulk of our clients are right here in New Jersey.
Okay. And they're mostly businesses, what size?
So our typical client is between $5,000 a month to a couple million. There's really no size, but the reason we start at $5,000 a month is because under $5,000 a month, there's better options, and we always point our clients to the best option for them and their business.
Interesting. Wow. Wow. And again, that's customer service. And
Exactly.
And so the family businesses, and I've said this on this show, and always, is that they're really the best places to work. Because if you're in a family business, whether or not you're a member of the family, they can't afford to lose people, and they really do a great job and really treat them like family. Now you're a family business where you're really just family. I'm sure there are some other outside folks that help a little bit and so on. And I mean, the downside is that every now and then there's conflict. You see people a lot, and so how have you guys managed the family business to really go forward and be successful and collaborative?
So what I find, because I have a lot of friends that are in family businesses, and we all get together and talk about it. It all starts at the top. So either the grandfather or the grandparent or the parent. And the reason that we have held it together for so long is because my father is a very open guy. And what I see now is a lot of these family businesses, you know, you have the younger guy come in,
Right.
the older generation, they're stuck in their ways, they're not open to change.
Right, right.
We are very open to change, and that is what makes us successful. Sometimes change doesn't necessarily work out,
Right.
but the fact that my father's open to it, he's open to ideas, that really helps the flow.
Yeah.
And of course, every once in a while, you know, there's always going to be butting heads with family.
Of course, that's the nature of a family business. But
Yep.
but that's really good. And,
Yeah.
and as I say, everything is leadership. I mean, it's
Yep.
really about leadership. And you know, we're promoting this this approach called coach leadership, where the idea is that you really have to listen to everybody individual. Because I'm sure you and your brother are similar in a lot of ways, but you're different in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And so it's important to manage people differently, to manage both of you very differently. And so, what about community service? Do you do much with the community and giving back to the community as a family business?
Yeah, so we actually, pre-COVID, we had a charity golf event almost every year. And we would donate to an organization called 22Q Deletion. We actually have a sister who has 22Q deletion, and essentially what it is,
Yeah, what is that? I've never.
it's almost the opposite of Down syndrome.
Okay.
So with Down syndrome, you have an extra chromosome.
Right.
She's missing part of
Okay.
a chromosome. So it's
Okay.
almost like the opposite. And that we really strive to help that community a lot. My sister's heavily involved. She does a lot of things herself with special needs. She went to TCNJ. She was in their special needs program.
Okay.
So we're pretty involved in that community.
And what is it called? It's called
22Q deletion.
22Q deletion. I happen to
Yeah.
be president of something called the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey, which is the largest special needs school district in the state.
Okay.
So I've been there 20 years as a volunteer, and so interesting. I hadn't, so I'm aware of a lot of things. What are the behavioral, elements of that?
Sure. So everyone's different.
Right.
My sister, luckily, is high functioning, but it can be anywhere from total loss of all motor skills.
Oh, wow.
All the way to like someone like my sister who you can have a conversation with. She can do day-to-day things, but after a few minutes, you realize that something may be off.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Is that because we do we're the largest in providing education for students on the autism spectrum, which people now they know a lot more about than before. And is that something that a lot of people may have that they don't know that they have? Is this a relatively unknown kind of ailment, or is it?
I think that it's pretty unknown as a whole.
Right,
But
right.
if you have it, your family is
Knows a lot about
typically aware, and they know about it essentially.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. So do you think you're going to start that golf now that we're kind of hopefully, knock on wood, through the pandemic? You're going to kick it up again? Or?
Yeah, we think we may hopefully next summer.
Okay, good.
If not golf, then definitely a networking event of some kind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I teach tennis. I'm very active in tennis. So if you want to do a golf and tennis thing, I'm happy to help you.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Help you. Maybe we can raise some money and do a nice tennis program. And so, all right. So you're in a very competitive business, but you guys are doing real well. You give back to the community. What's in the future? What are some of the future plans for your business? What are some of the innovations down the road?
Absolutely. So we actually recently started another family business.
Oh, really?
So my uncle, he has been in the technology integration space for over 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And we recently went into business with him. So we are now doing high-end home theaters,
Oh, really?
security systems, and sound systems in homes, conference rooms, and mega yachts.
Wow. Oh, mega yachts. Well,
Mega yachts,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
That's his specialty.
Now, are you involved in that, or just not as much? Or
So right now I'm not,
Right.
but I'd like to be. I think it's a very interesting business. So I think in the future I'm slowly going to diversify more time into that.
And what's the name of that company?
Progressive Technology Partners.
Progressive Technology
Yep.
Partners. And so now, what are the websites of the? If you wouldn't mind, tell the
Yeah,
audience
sure.
what the websites are for both products.
Absolutely.
For both
So
companies.
for Progressive Payment Solutions, it's progressivepayment.com. And then for Progressive Technology Partners, it's ptechp.com.
Okay, so ptechp.com.
Yep.
Very, very interesting. So I'm renovating the outside. I have a kind of a big glass room, 900 square foot, and the TVs now, I have a 74-inch. The quality of TVs is amazing.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It really is amazing. It's movie theater quality. So I love watching my stream shows on that. So I may ask you guys about a theater,
Absolutely.
and theater seats. And so, well, this is great. We're almost at the end of time. Is there anything else that that you think, from a family business standpoint, are there some other family members that are going to get more involved, or with this new business, or other things?
I think for now, no one else in our family is going to be involved. But what I would like to say is, for anybody thinking about getting into their family's business,
right.
I think that it's one of the best decisions that I've ever made.
Wonderful.
And I truly, truly believe that everybody should do it if they have the opportunity.
If they have the opportunity.
If they have the opportunity.
Well, Zach, thank you so much. This is great.
Thank you
great
for
talking
having
to
me.
you. This is fantastic. They're doing some really innovative stuff. I mean, just you got to love these family businesses. They're doing all sorts of stuff. They're giving back to the community. And so one of the things I say, support your local family business any way that you can. Once again, thank you for watching Family Business World, and we will see you next week.